What if I told you that your income, your opportunities, and even the respect you receive from the world are not determined by luck, education, or connections? They are determined by one simple law. A law so powerful that once you understand it, your entire approach to success changes. Some people struggle for decades trying to get more money, more recognition, more success, yet they never realize the real secret. The world does not pay you for your time. The world pays you for the value you create. And once you understand this principle, you stop chasing success and start becoming the person success naturally follows. Many people spend years wondering why some individuals rise higher, earn more, and attract opportunities while others remain stuck in the same place, despite working just as hard. They blame circumstances, luck, connections, or background. But when you look deeper into the patterns of life, a powerful truth begins to reveal itself. Success is not randomly distributed. It follows a principle. It follows value. The world naturally moves toward people who make things better, toward people who solve problems, toward people who give something meaningful to others. And when a person becomes useful to many people, their importance in the marketplace begins to grow. Think about it carefully. A teacher who changes the lives of hundreds of students becomes valuable. A doctor who relieves pain and saves lives becomes valuable. A business owner who creates jobs and solves everyday problems becomes valuable. The reward they receive is not simply for their time, it is for the difference they make. Life quietly measures the impact you create. And the greater your impact, the greater your success begins to appear. But this idea goes deeper than money or recognition. True value begins with character, with intention, and with the sincere desire to benefit others. A person who wakes up each morning asking, "How can I help someone today?" and quite begins walking on a path that naturally leads to growth and respect. Even faith reminds us of this principle. In the Quran, it is said that a person will have nothing except what they strive for. Every effort, every act of service, every sincere intention carries weight. When a person contributes goodness to the world, that goodness never disappears. It multiplies in ways we cannot always see. Sometimes the reward appears as opportunities. Sometimes it appears as influence. Sometimes it appears as respect in the hearts of people. But it always begins with value. The tragedy is that many people focus only on what they can get from the world instead of what they can give to it. They chase quick success, quick money, quick recognition. Yet without value, those things never last. What comes quickly without contribution often disappears just as quickly. Real success is built slowly through usefulness, through learning, through growth, through serving others. Every skill you develop becomes a tool to create more value. Every lesson you learn from failure becomes wisdom you can use to guide someone else. Every hardship you endure builds strength that eventually allows you to carry heavier responsibilities. And with every step, your value increases. When your value increases, doors begin to open that once seemed impossible. People start trusting you. People begin seeking your advice. Opportunities begin appearing where there were once obstacles. Because the world instinctively moves toward those who bring improvement into it. But there is also something deeply emotional about this truth. Every human being carries within them a desire to matter, a desire to feel that their life has meaning, that their presence in the world is not accidental or wasted. Value gives life that meaning. When you help someone overcome a problem, you feel it in your heart. When your knowledge lifts someone out of confusion, you feel it. When your work makes someone's life easier, safer, or better, you feel a quiet sense of fulfillment that money alone cannot provide. That feeling is the soul recognizing its purpose. We were not created to simply exist. We were created to contribute. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that the best of people are those who are most beneficial to others. Think about the depth of that message. Greatness is not measured by status, wealth, or fame. It is measured by usefulness, by the value you bring into the lives of others. A single act of kindness can carry immense value. A word of encouragement can change the direction of someone's life. A piece of knowledge shared sincerely can become a source of guidance for generations. Value does not always require a grand stage. Sometimes it begins with the smallest actions done with sincerity, a helping hand, a wise idea, A skill used to serve others. And when these actions are repeated day after day, something remarkable begins to happen. Your reputation grows. Your influence grows. Your confidence grows. Because the world begins to recognize the value you carry. Your success then becomes a reflection of the difference you make. And the more value you bring to people, the more your life begins to expand in ways that once seemed far beyond your reach. Because success has always followed those who dedicate themselves to becoming useful, helpful, and beneficial to the world around them. And every moment you choose growth over comfort, service over selfishness, and contribution over indifference, you are quietly increasing the value that shapes your destiny and the impact your life will leave on this world and the next. Many people believe that if they simply work hard enough, success will eventually arrive at their door. They wake up early, stay busy all day, exhaust themselves with long hours, and yet after years of effort, they still wonder why their results remain small. The painful truth is that effort alone does not guarantee reward. The world does not measure how tired you are at the end of the day. The marketplace does not count how many hours you struggled, how many nights you stayed awake, or how much energy you spent trying. What the marketplace recognizes is contribution. Two people can work equally hard, yet their rewards may be completely different. One may earn modestly, while the other earns 10 times more. Not because one worked harder, but because one learned how to create greater impact. The farmer who grows food that feeds thousands creates enormous value. The engineer who builds systems that serve millions creates enormous value. The entrepreneur who solves a problem for millions of people creates enormous value. And when the value grows, the reward grows with it. This principle may seem unfair at first, but when you reflect deeply, you realize it is one of the most just systems in existence. The greater the benefit you bring to others, the greater your influence naturally becomes. Your reward expands in proportion to how many lives your work touches. That is why a person who solves a problem for 10 people earns little, while someone who solves a problem for 10 million people earns extraordinary rewards. It is not about the effort alone. It is about the difference your effort creates. Many people confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their days with tasks, meetings, responsibilities, and endless movement. Yet movement is not always progress. Progress happens when your work produces real value, when your work improves someone's life, when your work removes a difficulty, when your work creates something useful that did not exist before. That is contribution. And contribution is what the world truly rewards. Faith also teaches this principle in a powerful way. In the Quran, it is said that mankind will have nothing except what they strive for. But striving is not only about motion or labor. It is about sincere effort directed toward meaningful purpose. When a person works with honesty, with the intention of benefiting others, that effort becomes more than just work. It becomes an act of service. It becomes something that carries weight not only in this world, but also in the sight of Allah. Every honest contribution has value beyond what the eyes can see. A doctor who treats patients with compassion. A teacher who sincerely tries to guide young minds. A worker who performs their duty with integrity. A business owner who treats employees fairly and provides solutions for society. These are not just professions, they are contributions. And when contribution becomes the center of your work, your effort begins to multiply in impact. The problem arises when people chase reward before contribution. They want recognition before they have created value. They want wealth before they have solved meaningful problems. But the order of life does not work that way. First comes contribution, then comes reward. Think about the emotional power of this realization. It means your future is not controlled by luck or by circumstances alone. It is shaped by the value you decide to bring into the world. You are not powerless. Every skill you learn increases your potential contribution. Every challenge you overcome increases your wisdom. Every failure you survive teaches you lessons that can later help someone else avoid the same pain. Even your struggles can eventually become value. Sometimes the hardest seasons of life prepare you to guide others who are walking through the same darkness. Your experience becomes light for someone else. And when that happens, your pain turns into contribution. Your story becomes useful. Your journey begins to matter beyond yourself. This is why the most successful people often focus not on how hard they are working, but on how much difference their work creates. They ask better questions. How can I solve this problem better? How can I help more people? How can I make this easier, faster, or more meaningful for others? And those questions lead to innovation. They lead to improvement. They lead to growth. And slowly, the marketplace begins to recognize the value they bring. Because the world is constantly searching for people who contribute more than they consume. People who improve situations rather than complain about them. People who create solutions rather than wait for them. The moment you shift your mindset from, how hard am I working? How much value am I creating? And your entire path begins to change. Your focus becomes sharper. Your learning becomes purposeful. Your work becomes more meaningful. And as your contribution expands, the rewards that once seemed distant begin to move closer and closer, drawn by the growing impact of the value you bring into the lives of others and the quiet sincerity behind every effort you dedicate to making the world a little better than you found it. There is a powerful truth that quietly shapes the destiny of every human life. Your value in the world expands in direct proportion to the skills you develop. The more capable you become, the more opportunities begin to appear around you. The more problems you can solve, the more people begin to rely on you. And the more reliable you become, the more doors begin to open that once seemed completely out of reach. Many people wish for a better life, a better income, more respect, more freedom. They hope that somehow their situation will change with time. But hope alone does not transform a life. Change begins the moment a person decides to improve themselves. Because every new skill you learn quietly increases your worth. When you learn how to communicate clearly, your ideas begin to influence people. When you learn how to think critically, you begin to see solutions others miss. When you learn discipline, you gain control over your time and energy. When you gain knowledge, you gain power to navigate life more wisely. Each skill becomes like a tool placed in your hands. And the more tools you possess, the more valuable you become. Think about the people who rise in any field. They are rarely the people who stopped learning. They are the people who kept sharpening their abilities. They invested time in growth while others remained comfortable. They studied while others complained. They practiced while others procrastinated. And slowly, without loud announcements or sudden miracles, their value began to grow. Skills create confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. But there is also a deeper spiritual dimension to growth. In Islam, seeking knowledge is not only encouraged, it is considered an act of worship. The Prophet Muhammad, Arabic Sada, Arabic Lam, Arabic Alif Maxira, Arabic Alif, Arabic Lam, Arabic Arrow, Arabic Lam, Arabic Et, Arabic A, Arabic Lam, Arabic Meme, taught that whoever follows a path in search of knowledge, Allah will make a path to paradise easy for them. Think about the beauty of that message. Every step you take toward learning carries both worldly and spiritual reward. When you improve your skills with sincere intention, you are not only improving your own life, you are increasing your ability to serve others. You become more capable of helping someone in difficulty, guiding someone in confusion, or providing solutions where others see only problems. Your growth becomes a source of benefit. And when knowledge benefits others, it becomes a form of charity that continues long after you are gone. This understanding should awaken something powerful inside the heart, because it means that every moment spent learning is an investment not only in success, but also in purpose. Imagine the difference between two lives. One person stops growing. They repeat the same habits, the same knowledge, the same routines year after year. Slowly the world moves forward while they remain where they started. Opportunities pass by because they are not prepared for them. Another person commits to growth. They read, learn, practice, improve. Every year they become a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more skilled. At first, the difference between these two people may seem small. But over time, that small difference becomes enormous because skills compound. The knowledge you gain today connects with the knowledge you gain tomorrow. The lessons you learn from failure strengthen your judgment. The discipline you develop today makes tomorrow's challenges easier to face. Little by little, you become someone who can handle bigger responsibilities. someone who can solve more complex problems, someone who carries more influence, and the world begins to recognize that value. But there is also an emotional side to this journey. Learning is not always comfortable. Growth often requires humility. It requires admitting that you do not yet know everything. It requires patience when progress feels slow. There will be moments when you feel behind others, moments when you doubt your abilities, moments when the effort feels heavy. But those moments are part of the process that shapes strong individuals. Allah often tests people before elevating them. Challenges refine character. Difficulty builds patience. Struggle forces growth that comfort never could. Every challenge you overcome strengthens your ability to face the next one. And every skill you develop prepares you for opportunities that are still on their way. The world needs people who are constantly improving themselves. People who refuse to remain limited by their current abilities. People who understand that their potential is not fixed, but expandable. Because the moment you commit to learning, you begin stepping into a larger version of yourself. You begin transforming from someone who waits for opportunities into someone who is ready for them. Your mind becomes sharper. Your confidence grows stronger. Your influence expands, and the value you bring into the lives of others continues to rise with every new skill you develop, every lesson you absorb, and every moment you dedicate to becoming a person who can contribute more goodness, more solutions, and more wisdom to the world around you. One of the greatest secrets of success is hidden inside a principle that many people overlook. The more you focus on serving others, the more opportunities begin to appear in your life. At first, this idea may seem unusual because the world often teaches people to focus on themselves first, to chase personal gain, personal recognition, and personal rewards. But life has a deeper system operating beneath the surface. It quietly elevates those who become useful to others. When a person dedicates their time, effort, and ability to helping people solve problems, improve their lives, or overcome difficulties, something powerful begins to happen. People begin to notice. Trust begins to form. Relationships begin to grow. And with trust comes opportunity. Service builds bridges. Every person you help becomes a connection. Every life you improve becomes a doorway. Every problem you solve creates space for new possibilities. Many of the greatest opportunities in life do not come from advertisements or applications. They come through people. They come through trust. They come through reputation. And reputation is built through service. When people know that you are someone who genuinely tries to help, someone who shows sincerity in your actions, they are more likely to trust you. Someone who cares about making things better, rather than simply taking advantage, they begin to remember you. They recommend you. They trust you. They open doors for you. The person who focuses only on personal gain often finds themselves alone. But the person who focuses on helping others finds themselves surrounded by relationships, support, and opportunities they never expected. This principle is deeply rooted in faith as well. In Islam, serving others is considered one of the most beloved acts in the sight of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad Arabek Sa'ada Arabeklam Arabekalef Maksura Arabekalef Arabeklam 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 Arabekmim taught that the most beloved people to Allah are those who bring the most benefit to others. Think about the depth of that teaching. It means that every act of service carries weight beyond what the world can see. When you help someone sincerely, when you ease someone's burden, when you guide someone who feels lost, that action does not disappear. It is recorded. It carries reward. And it carries blessings that often return to you in ways you could never predict. Sometimes those blessings appear as unexpected opportunities. Sometimes they appear as protection during difficult times. Sometimes they appear as support from people you once helped when you needed it the most. Because kindness has a way of traveling through the world and eventually returning to its source. Service also changes your mindset. When you begin focusing on helping others, you stop seeing people as competitors and start seeing them as individuals you can uplift. Your thinking becomes more generous. Your perspective becomes wider. Your influence grows because people feel the sincerity behind your intentions. And sincerity is something people can sense. They can feel the difference between someone who is trying to use them and someone who genuinely wants to help. When service becomes your habit, Opportunities multiply naturally because people are drawn toward those who make their lives easier, safer, or more hopeful. Imagine the emotional impact of this principle. Every single day presents chances to serve. A kind word to someone struggling, guidance to someone confused, support to someone discouraged. Even the smallest act can change the direction of someone's day or even their life. And when your life begins touching many other lives, your influence expands in ways you never planned. Sometimes the opportunity that changes your future comes from someone you once helped without expecting anything in return. Sometimes the door you prayed for opens through a person whose life you improved in a moment of sincerity. This is why service is so powerful. It multiplies your reach far beyond what you can achieve alone. Your skills help people. Those people remember you. Your reputation spreads. New opportunities appear. But service also nourishes the heart. There is a unique satisfaction that comes from knowing you made someone's burden lighter, that you helped someone stand up again after they almost gave up, that your words or actions became a source of strength for someone who felt weak. That feeling cannot be bought with money. It is the quiet joy of living a meaningful life, a life where your presence improves the world around you. Allah has placed immense reward in helping others because service reflects compassion, humility, and sincerity. These qualities elevate a person not only in the eyes of people, but also in the sight of the Creator. And when a person continues serving with a sincere heart, opportunities begin to grow around them like seeds that quietly turn into trees. Because the world always needs people who are willing to lift others up. And every time you choose service over selfishness, you expand the circle of influence around your life and multiply the paths that lead toward growth, trust, and possibilities that were never visible before. Every human being enters this world with potential placed deep within them. But potential alone does not change the world. Potential is only the beginning. What determines the difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one is the willingness to grow. Personal growth is the process through which a person expands their mind, strengthens their character, sharpens their abilities, and deepens their understanding of life. And as a person grows internally, their influence on the world around them begins to grow as well. Your impact can never rise higher than your personal development. If your thinking remains limited, your influence will remain limited. If your knowledge remains small, the problems you can solve will remain small. But when you begin to grow mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you become capable of affecting more lives. You begin to see possibilities where others see barriers. You begin to recognize solutions where others see confusion. Growth changes the way you think, the way you act, and the way you respond to the challenges life presents. Many people want to change the world around them, yet they overlook the place where change must begin. It begins within the individual. When a person improves themselves, the effect spreads outward like ripples in water. A wiser mind leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better actions. Better actions lead to stronger results, and stronger results begin influencing other people. Personal growth is not simply about gaining knowledge. It is also about refining your character. It is about developing patience when life becomes difficult. It is about strengthening discipline when distractions try to pull you away from your purpose. It is about controlling your emotions so that anger, fear, and frustration do not control your actions. When your character grows stronger, people begin to trust you. When people trust you, your influence increases. And influence is what allows a person to make a meaningful difference. Faith reminds us that growth is part of our responsibility as human beings. In Islam, knowledge and self-improvement are not optional luxuries, they are paths toward fulfilling the purpose for which we were created. Allah repeatedly encourages reflection, learning, and wisdom. The Quran reminds us that Allah will raise those who believe and those who are given knowledge to higher ranks. Think about the beauty of that promise. Growth elevates you. Knowledge elevates you. Wisdom elevates you. But elevation is not only about status or recognition. It is about responsibility. The more a person grows, the more capable they become of guiding others, supporting others, and creating positive change. Personal growth transforms a person from someone who simply lives for themselves into someone who begins shaping the lives of others. Your words begin carrying weight. Your actions begin setting examples. Your mindset begins inspiring people around you. Sometimes a single person who commits to growth can influence an entire family. Their discipline encourages others. Their wisdom guides others. Their strength becomes support for others during difficult times. Sometimes one person's growth affects an entire community, and sometimes one person's growth changes the course of history. But the journey of growth is not always easy. It often requires facing uncomfortable truths about yourself. It requires humility to admit mistakes. It requires patience when progress feels slow. It requires courage to leave behind old habits that once felt familiar. Growth demands effort. Growth demands consistency. Growth demands faith during moments when the results are not yet visible. But every step forward expands your capacity. Every lesson learned strengthens your perspective. Every hardship endured deepens your understanding of life. Allah tests people not to weaken them, but to refine them. Difficulties often become the training ground where strong individuals are shaped. Through struggle, patience is developed. Through failure, wisdom is gained. Through challenges, resilience is formed. And with each experience, a person becomes stronger and more capable of guiding others through similar struggles. Your growth then becomes a source of light for people who are still walking in darkness. This is the emotional power of personal development. It transforms your life into something larger than yourself. Your experiences, your knowledge, your strength, all of it begins helping others find direction, courage, and hope. When you commit to becoming better every day, you are not only improving your own future, you are increasing the positive influence your life can have on countless others. Your growth expands your reach. Your wisdom expands your guidance. Your strength expands your support for others. And as you continue growing, the circle of lives your actions touch continues expanding further and further, turning your personal journey into a source of impact that extends far beyond what you once believed your life could achieve. Life has a quiet system that determines the level of success a person reaches. It is not random, and it is not reserved for a special group of people. It follows a simple pattern that repeats itself everywhere you look. The people who solve the biggest problems often receive the biggest rewards. The world constantly faces challenges. Every day, people struggle with difficulties, confusion, limitations, and obstacles. Businesses search for solutions. Communities search for guidance. Individuals search for answers to problems they cannot solve alone. And whenever someone appears with a solution, that person immediately becomes valuable. The greater the problem they solve, the greater the value they create. Think about the difference between solving a small inconvenience and solving a major challenge that affects thousands or even millions of people. The person who removes a small obstacle helps a few people, but the person who removes a major obstacle transforms the lives of many. Naturally, the rewards become greater. A doctor who discovers a treatment that saves lives is solving a major problem. An engineer who develops technology that improves communication across the world is solving a major problem. An entrepreneur who creates a system that helps millions of people work, learn, or live more efficiently is solving a major problem. Because their solutions impact so many lives, the value of their contribution becomes enormous. But solving bigger problems requires something deeper than intelligence. It requires courage. It requires a willingness to face challenges that most people avoid. Many individuals spend their lives trying to escape problems, hoping for a life free of difficulty. Yet growth rarely happens in comfort. The people who rise higher are often the ones who walk toward challenges instead of running from them. They ask themselves difficult questions. They study complex situations. They search for answers where others see only confusion. And slowly they develop the ability to solve problems that once seemed impossible. Faith teaches a similar principle about responsibility and strength. Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. This means that the challenges placed before you are not accidents. They are opportunities for growth, opportunities to develop patience, wisdom, and resilience. Sometimes the problems you face today are preparing you to help others tomorrow. Your struggles teach you lessons. Your hardships build your character. Your experiences sharpen your understanding of life. And one day you realize that the difficulties you once feared have become knowledge that allows you to guide others through similar storms. This is how people grow into problem solvers. They observe, They learn. They reflect. They search for answers with sincerity and determination. And when they finally find solutions, those solutions become valuable not only to themselves, but to everyone facing the same challenge. The emotional weight of this truth is powerful. It means that the problems surrounding you are not only obstacles, they are opportunities waiting for someone brave enough to confront them. Where others see frustration, a problem solver sees possibility. Where others see complexity, a problem solver sees a challenge worth understanding. And every time you solve a meaningful problem, your confidence expands, your abilities strengthen, your reputation grows. People begin to trust the person who can bring clarity during confusion. They seek guidance from the person who has answers when others feel lost. This trust becomes the foundation of influence, opportunity, and success. But the path to solving bigger problems also requires patience. Large challenges rarely disappear overnight. They require study, experimentation, and persistence. There will be moments when the answers seem hidden, moments when the effort feels exhausting. Yet those moments are the training ground for individuals who eventually rise above ordinary limitations. Allah loves those who strive with sincerity and perseverance. Effort made with patience and faith carries a special kind of strength. Even when results take time to appear, the process is shaping a stronger version of you. A person who commits themselves to solving meaningful problems becomes a source of relief for others. Their work removes burdens. Their ideas create improvement. Their actions open paths that were previously closed. And with each problem they solve, their impact grows wider. The rewards that follow are not simply financial or material. They include respect, influence, trust, and the deep satisfaction of knowing that your life has become a source of benefit to others. Because the world will always search for people who are willing to face the problems others avoid. And every time you choose courage over comfort, patience over frustration, and solutions over complaints, you step closer to becoming the person whose ability to solve greater challenges naturally attracts greater rewards and greater opportunities to make a difference in the lives of countless people around you. In life, many people spend years chasing things they believe will secure their future. They chase money, titles, recognition, and possessions. They believe that if they can gather enough external success, they will finally feel secure and important. But there is a deeper truth that many only realize later in life. The greatest asset you will ever possess is not your bank account, your job title, or the things you own. Your greatest asset is your value, your knowledge, your character, your skills, your integrity, your wisdom, and your ability to help others solve problems. These are the things that truly determine your worth in the world. Money can disappear. Positions can change. Circumstances can shift overnight. But the value you build within yourself can never truly be taken away. If a person loses money but still possesses strong skills, discipline, and wisdom, they can rebuild their success again. History is filled with stories of individuals who lost everything yet rose again because the most important asset, the value within them, remained untouched. But if a person has wealth without value, that wealth often fades quickly. Because without knowledge, character, and skill, success cannot be sustained. Your value is like a seed planted inside your life. The more you nurture it, the more it grows. Every book you read adds nourishment. Every lesson you learn strengthens its roots. Every challenge you overcome expands its ability to grow stronger. Over time, that seed becomes a tree. And that tree begins producing fruit that benefits not only you, but the people around you. When you develop patience, you become someone people can rely on during difficult times. When you develop wisdom, your guidance begins helping others avoid painful mistakes. When you develop integrity, people trust your word and your presence. When you develop skill and knowledge, your work begins improving the lives of others. These qualities form the true wealth of a person. Faith reminds us that the most valuable treasures are not always visible to the eyes. In Islam, the true measure of a person is not their status or possessions, but their righteousness, sincerity, and character. Allah looks at the hearts and the actions of people rather than their appearances or worldly achievements. This reminds us that inner value carries greater weight than external success. A person with sincerity, honesty, compassion, and knowledge carries a form of wealth that cannot be measured by numbers. This is why the process of self-development is so important. When you focus on improving yourself, you are strengthening your most important asset. You are building something inside you that will support you through every stage of life. Every moment spent learning increases your value. Every mistake you learn from increases your value. Every hardship you survive increases your strength. Sometimes the most painful seasons of life become the greatest builders of personal value. Difficult experiences teach lessons that comfort never could. Struggles build resilience. Failure builds wisdom. Patience builds character. And slowly, without realizing it at first, you become stronger than the person you once were. Your mind becomes sharper. Your perspective becomes deeper. Your confidence grows stronger because it is rooted in real growth rather than temporary success. People begin to notice something different about you. They sense stability in your character. They recognize reliability in your actions. They trust your judgment because your experiences have shaped wisdom within you. This is the power of personal value. It attracts opportunity. It attracts respect. It attracts influence. But perhaps the most powerful part of this truth is the emotional freedom it brings. When you understand that your greatest asset is within you, you stop depending entirely on circumstances for your confidence. You realize that no matter what happens around you, you still possess the ability to grow, to learn, and to rebuild. Your worth is no longer tied only to external success. It is rooted in who you are becoming. Every step you take toward knowledge strengthens your foundation. Every act of integrity strengthens your reputation. Every skill you develop increases the difference you can make in the world. And as your value grows, your life begins to expand in ways that once seemed impossible. Because the person who continuously strengthens their inner value carries within them a resource far more powerful than temporary wealth, a resource capable of creating opportunities, influencing lives, and leaving a lasting impact that continues far beyond the moment they first discovered the true power of the value they were building inside themselves. Success is not something you chase. It is something you attract through the value you create. So instead of asking, how can I earn more? Ask yourself a better question. How can I become more valuable? And what? Because the moment you focus on increasing your value, the world will begin increasing your rewards.